Imagine a world where the written word is a rare and precious thing. A world where stories, histories, and discoveries are locked away, hidden behind thick stone walls and guarded by the privileged few. In this world, the flicker of candlelight illuminates the faces of scholars and monks, their eyes straining over fragile pages, their hands aching from hours of careful copying. In such a time, a single book could cost as much as a house, a treasure reserved for kings, nobles, and the wealthiest of merchants. Books were not just objects, they were status symbols, tokens of immense power and privilege. Before the printing press, every book was a labor of love and endurance. Monks and scribes spent months, sometimes years, painstakingly copying each word by hand onto expensive materials like vellum or parchment. Each page was a work of art, often adorned with intricate illustrations and gold leaf. But this beauty came at a cost: time, money, and exclusivity. Knowledge was literally locked away, hidden behind the doors of monasteries and royal libraries. Only a select few could access these treasures, and the spread of new ideas was painfully slow, limited by the speed of a single quill and the endurance of the human hand. For most people, reading was an unattainable skill. The majority relied on oral traditions, stories told by traveling minstrels, sermons delivered from church pulpits, and news passed from mouth to mouth. The written word was a distant echo, reserved for the powerful. Those who controlled the books controlled the narrative, and, by extension, the very fabric of society. To possess a book was to possess influence, to shape what others believed and understood about the world. But in the 1440s, in the bustling city of Mainz, Germany, a goldsmith named Johannes Gutenberg saw something ordinary, a wine press, and imagined something extraordinary. He saw not just a tool for crushing grapes, but a machine that could transform the world. Gutenberg envisioned a way to press ink onto paper using individual, movable metal letters. Unlike the old method of carving entire pages from wood, this new approach allowed for flexibility, speed, and endless reuse. With movable type, pages could be assembled, printed, and then taken apart to create new texts. This simple, yet ingenious idea meant that information could be reproduced quickly, accurately, and in far greater numbers than ever before. Gutenberg's genius didn't stop there. He combined the mechanics of the press with his skills as a metalworker, crafting durable type from metal alloys. He also perfected a new oil-based ink that adhered beautifully to paper, ensuring crisp, clear text with every impression. At the same time, the growing availability of cheap, high-quality paper made mass production possible. The stage was set for a revolution. It was a perfect storm of innovation. Technology, materials, and vision converging at just the right moment in history. The humble wine press, once used to make drink for celebrations, was reborn as a machine for mass-producing thought, ideas, and dreams. This invention would soon uncork the bottle of human knowledge, letting it flow freely across borders, languages, and generations. The printing press didn't just change how books were made, it changed who could read them, who could write them, and who could dream. It sparked a revolution that would echo through every corner of the globe. The world stood on the brink of a knowledge revolution, as ideas began to spread faster and farther than ever before. And it all started with a wine press, an ordinary tool that became the engine of an extraordinary transformation. Picture a medieval library, dimly lit, echoing with the soft shuffle of robes and the faint scratch of quills. Here, a handful of precious scrolls and books are chained to heavy wooden desks, guarded as fiercely as treasure. These were not just books. They were lifelines to knowledge, so rare and valuable that each one was locked away, protected from theft or loss. In this world, books were more valuable than gold. Only the wealthiest institutions or the most powerful monasteries could afford to own even a small collection. To prevent them from disappearing, they were literally locked up, their pages glimpsed only by a privileged few. Reading itself was a rare skill, reserved for those with years of training. Most people lived and died without ever touching a book, let alone reading one. Knowledge was a privilege, not a right. In silent scriptoria, monks labored for years to create a single book. Every letter was drawn by hand, every page illuminated with care. The process was painstakingly slow, demanding patience and devotion. Even the greatest universities might boast only a few hundred volumes, a staggering achievement for the era, yet a tiny fraction of what we'd consider a library today. Ideas moved at a snail's pace, carried by travelers or merchants, sometimes taking decades to journey from one city to another. the spread of knowledge was slow, uncertain, and often incomplete. As texts were copied and recopied by hand, mistakes crept in, sometimes small, sometimes catastrophic. Over generations, these errors could twist facts, legends, and even entire histories. Knowledge was fragmented, scattered across isolated communities. There was no single, shared body of facts, just local truths, passed down in whispers and scrolls. Where you were born, the language you spoke, and the people you knew determined what you could learn. For most, the world was small, bounded by the limits of their village or town. Each region developed its own version of the truth, its own stories and beliefs, shaped by isolation and tradition. The world was a patchwork of isolated ideas, not a connected galaxy of shared understanding. Knowledge was as fragmented as the lands themselves, but this slow, quiet universe was on the brink of transformation. The invention of the printing press would soon shatter these barriers, unleashing a tidal wave of information. A new cosmos of communication was about to dawn, forever changing how humanity would share, preserve, and discover knowledge. Gutenberg wasn't the first to print. For centuries, civilizations had experimented with ways to reproduce text and images, seeking to share stories, knowledge, and art beyond the limits of a single hand. But he was the first to make it truly revolutionary, turning printing from a laborious craft into a force that would reshape society. Woodblock printing existed in China long before Gutenberg, allowing for the duplication of texts and images. However, each page required a new block, making the process slow, inflexible, and costly to update or correct. Gutenberg's breakthrough was movable type, individual metal letters that could be rearranged and reused for every new page, every new idea. This innovation meant that mistakes could be fixed quickly, and entire books could be set up with unprecedented speed. Think of it like Legos. You could build anything, break it down, and start again. The possibilities for creativity and efficiency were suddenly endless. To make this possible, Gutenberg developed a special metal alloy for his type, strong enough to withstand repeated use, yet precise enough to create clear, readable letters. This was a feat of both engineering and artistry. The screw press, once used for wine and olive oil, was ingeniously adapted to press inked type onto paper with even reliable pressure. This adaptation was crucial for producing consistent, high-quality prints. For the first time, printers could create crisp, uniform text, page after page, and do so at a pace that was previously unimaginable. A single press could produce thousands of pages a day, an unimaginable leap from the painstaking pace of scribes, who might spend months or even years copying a single book by hand. The first major product of this new technology was the Gutenberg Bible, with around 180 copies made. Each was a marvel of precision and beauty, rivaling the finest hand-copied manuscripts. That number was a tidal wave compared to the trickle of hand-copied books. Suddenly, books could reach far more people, and ideas could travel faster than ever before. Knowledge was no longer the privilege of the elite. For the first time, ordinary people could own books, read for themselves, and share what they learned with others. The doors to the universe of ideas were thrown open, inviting everyone to explore, question, and discover. The printing press transformed bookmaking from a painstaking craft into a thriving industry, fueling a hunger for knowledge and sparking revolutions in science, religion, and art. The world would never be the same. The spread of printed material changed how people thought, communicated, and connected across continents and generations. The age of mass communication had begun, setting the stage for the modern world we know today. Before Gutenberg, information was a slow drip. After, it became a flood. In 50 years, Europe printed 20 million books, more than in the previous 1,000 years. By 1600, over 200 million books existed. Books became affordable, moving from elite luxury to everyday commodity. People could build personal libraries and explore new subjects. Ideas now traveled at lightning speed, weeks instead of decades. Science thrived as discoveries could be shared and debated across continents. The press fueled the scientific revolution, connecting thinkers like Copernicus and Newton. Standardization became possible. Maps, laws, and texts were now consistent and reliable. A map printed in Antwerp matched one in Lisbon. This consistency built a common ground of facts for society. The flood of information wasn't just about quantity, it created a stable, reliable universe of knowledge. The world was now connected by print. The printing press rewired education, Before print, students memorized what a teacher recited from a rare text. With printed books, every student could own the material, read at their own pace, and think critically. Learning shifted from passive memorization to active engagement. Literacy rates soared as books became accessible. Standardized textbooks unified education across regions. The classroom became a laboratory of the mind, empowering students to explore knowledge independently. The modern classroom was born from this revolution. The printing press changed how we think about ourselves. Before print, identity was shaped by the group, family, village, church. Reading was often public, private reflection was rare. Print made reading a solitary act, sparking introspection and personal worldviews. You could now agree, disagree, or question the author on your own terms. This shift fueled movements like the Protestant Reformation, where Luther's printed words bypassed church authority. People could read the Bible themselves, fostering intellectual and spiritual independence. The press empowered individuals, fueling democracy and public opinion. It gave citizens the tools to form opinions, organize, and challenge power. The age of individual thought and public discourse had arrived. The press powered both exploration and science. Explorers relied on printed maps and charts updated with each new voyage. Public curiosity fueled more expeditions, creating a cycle of discovery and information. Scientific ideas like Copernicus's heliocentric theory spread rapidly through print. Scientists could share data, check each other's work, and build on discoveries. Standardized illustrations and tables ensured everyone saw the same information. Science became a collaborative, cumulative enterprise. The press turned isolated observations into a global quest for knowledge. Each printed page brought humanity closer to understanding the universe. The printing press was a double-edged sword. It spread truth and knowledge, but also misinformation and propaganda. Authorities tried to control it with censorship and banned books. Yet they also used it for their own propaganda, shaping public opinion. The press could unite or divide, enlighten or deceive. It mobilized populations for causes both noble and destructive. The struggle for free expression began with the press and continues today. The power to broadcast ideas is both a gift and a responsibility. Today's digital world is built on Gutenberg's legacy. The internet is the printing press at light speed, breaking information into pixels instead of letters. Our laws, science, and democracy rest on accessible, reliable information. The print age made facts debatable, testable, and shareable. We now swim in an ocean of words. Literacy is our superpower. Every book, every website is part of a chain stretching back to a wine press in minds. Profound change often starts with a simple idea. The journey of knowledge continues. Join us as we keep exploring the cosmos together.